Alright guys, so as we were talking about last time, we were talking about DNFing books. So today I'm going to kind of give maybe kind of contradictory viewpoint on some series that I think you should give a try, even though book one is a little bit difficult to get through. Okay, there are some other books that I would add to this list that I've heard about, but these are going to be ones that I have personally read and have this viewpoint. As I add more books to my TBR and read through some more series, there are definitely some ones that I'm probably will add, and I'll probably do some honorable mentions at the end and kind of talk about those books, although I haven't read those ones, okay? So, number one on this list, if you've ever read Sun Eater. Sun Eater is kind of a slow start. The first book, Empire of Silence, is a pretty slow burn kind of book. The series is a little hard to get through sometimes because it gives a lot of backstory. The series itself is kind of told after the fact, and I don't believe Sun Eater is the kind of book that everybody will love. I think some people will find it too slow, the pacing a little off. Some people will find it boring even. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend Sun Eater to somebody that is new to the genre. If you are new to fantasy / sci-fi, I would say maybe start with something a little bit more fast-paced. Sun Eater is really fun. I've really enjoyed the series so far, but I've read a lot of science fiction, I've read a lot of sci-fi, and maybe my palette has changed, maybe my maturity has changed, and so that's why I like it. And I knew going in the pacing was slow, so I was kind of ready for it. It's a series that I've enjoyed, but I would tell people going in, hey, it's super slow paced. If you're not somebody that's maybe well read in sci-fi and fantasy and you know kind of what to expect from a slower fantasy, maybe steer clear of this one. Maybe wait till you've gotten a couple books under your belts, right? And I don't mean to jibe anybody, that's just kind of how I feel the series is, okay? Alright, the second series that I feel is maybe a little bit, I don't want to say worse, but it's a little hard to get through. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate from the Robin Hobb fans, but The Assassin's Apprentice, I felt, was, again, a little slow, a little hard to get through at times. For a book being called Assassin's Apprentice, there's very little assassinating going on. Now, getting through the series and having finished it, I feel similar to Sun Eater that it's worth the payoff. But it's a slow burn to get there. If you're not someone who is accustomed to slow burn and accustomed to books that have a slow pace and kind of take a lot of time to build up, it might not be for you. I finished Assassin's Apprentice, the first 3 books, and I've read other books in the series, but it was a bit of a chore to get through. There were times where I didn't feel like it was fantastic. There were times where I was a little bit, felt like I was reading to try and finish it, not because I was enjoying it. And again, if this had been maybe at a different time, maybe I would have DNF'd it. But I had some reasons why I wanted to read it. This isn't the video where I'm going to go into why I knew I wanted to read it. But there are other books in the series that I wanted to get to, and so I persevered. So, a bit of a hard one to get through, but I feel like it's one of those ones where the payoff is worth it in the end. So, definitely take that for what you will. I liked it. Maybe you won't, maybe you will, I don't know. The next book on this list is one that I've only read the first book, but there's some novellas around it, and I found out after the fact that the author kind of wrote it this way on purpose. So the book by Ryan Cahill, I believe that's how you say his last name, of Blood and Fire, is commonly criticized because it's a little bit tropey, it's a little bit kind of vanilla as far as like the tropes and stuff that it uses in the story. They're kind of like ones that everyone's seen. They're kind of like your standard. It doesn't feel like it does anything new or fresh or different. It feels like it's very standard. And from what I've read and heard in some videos, I believe it was Tudor Ramble was talking about this, that he did that on purpose. He wrote it that way for a reason. But he, from what I've read, he wrote it for a reason, that it was intentional that the tropes were in that the way it is. And like some books, you know, that first book you have to get a lot of world building in, you have to set things up, you have to state the stakes. for other books to come. Now, I've had some people tell me that there is a prequel novella that you should read beforehand, kind of sets everything up for you. I didn't do that. I saw there were some novellas, but I thought they were kind of like in between. I didn't realize it was like a 0.5. It was like a prequel novella, so I didn't read that one. So my viewpoint might be a little skewed. So take this for what you will. Maybe take this with a grain of salt if this isn't for you. Right? So those are the first 3 on my list. I think I'm going to add some more to my list and maybe do a part 2 for this down the road. But those are the 3 books that I feel like you should give a chance to. They can be a little hard to get through. They can be a little slow. They can be a little daunting even to get through. But I think they are worth it in the end. Hopefully you'll check those books out if you have not already.